Okay, imagine a world where a computer could spot cancer with a level of detail that the human eye just can't see. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at some amazing research that's training an AI to become a kind of digital detective, hunting for the hidden clues of leukemia.
And really, it all boils down to this one massive question. Can we actually teach a machine to find cancer in something as tiny as a single cell? I mean, this is the kind of question that could totally change how we diagnose one of the toughest forms of cancer. So let's see how they're pulling it off.
But before we get into all the cool tech, you gotta understand just how big of a challenge this really is. We're talking about a battle fought on a microscopic scale, where the enemy is so small and so hard to spot, it's almost unbelievable.
So right now, diagnosing acute lymphoblastic leukemia, or ALL for short, is this incredibly demanding, very human process. You have these brilliant, highly trained experts spending hours and hours just staring through a microscope, hunting for these tiny, tiny abnormalities. And it's not just the time it takes, it's the pressure. These specialists literally hold a patient's entire future in their hands with every single slide they look at.
But what if we could give these experts a new partner? A powerful ally that never gets tired, never needs a coffee break, and can see things in a completely different way. Well, that's the whole promise behind this new automated approach.
The core idea here is just brilliant. They're training an AI to be that digital detective. But here's the twist. Instead of just looking at a cell's shape or its size, this detective is trained to see something way more subtle, its texture. You know how you can feel the difference between silk and sandpaper without even looking? This AI is basically learning to do the digital version of that, but with cells, sensing the faint textures that could signal disease.
And the secret weapon for our digital detective is this tool with a mouthful of a name, a Gray Level Co-occurrence Matrix, or GLCM. Now, instead of just looking at one pixel at a time, it looks at their relationships. How bright is this pixel compared to the one next to it? Are they all pretty much the same, or is there a lot of sharp contrast? It's this deep dive into how pixels relate to each other that gives the AI a statistical feel for an image's texture.
So, how does our detective actually put all the clues together? Well, the researchers laid out this super methodical, step-by-step process that can turn a simple image into a diagnosis that could save a life.
It's a 6-stage workflow. It starts with the raw image, cleans it up to get rid of any digital noise, and then isolates the one single cell it needs to investigate. And then comes the magic. Step 4, feature extraction. This is where it gathers all the evidence. After that, it's all about classifying the cell, and of course, checking the results. Let's zoom in on that critical 4th step, because that's where the real detective work happens.
So this is it, the heart of the investigation. The GLCM is measuring the cell's unique textural fingerprints. It's asking questions like, what's the contrast like? Are the patterns sharp? How about correlation? Are there clear relationships? Is there a lot of energy? Meaning, is the image uniform? And what about homogeneity? How smooth is it? These are the 4 big clues that point towards a final diagnosis.
Okay, so having the clues is one thing, but our detective needs a solid way to interpret them and make a final call. And to make sure they got it right, the researchers didn't just rely on one method. No way. They put 4 different techniques to the test.
These methods are called distance metrics. You can just think of them as super smart mathematical rulers. Each one measures how different the textural fingerprints of our mystery cell are from the known fingerprints of healthy cells and cancerous cells. Whichever group it's closer to, well, that's the likely classification.
All right, the theory is solid, the method seems incredibly detailed, but the million-dollar question is, did it actually work? Did our digital detective crack the case? Let's get to the numbers. After all that training and all that testing, how accurate was this AI pathologist when it came down to it? And here are the results. As you can see, all 4 methods did incredibly well, landing with accuracies in the mid-80s. The race was super tight, which really shows how strong this whole texture-based approach is. But if you look closely, one did just barely nudge ahead of the pack, the Canberra metric.
A top score of 85.18%. Just let that sink in for a second. More than 8 out of 10 times, this algorithm correctly figured out if a single cell was cancerous or healthy. For a brand new automated system, that is, wow, that's a truly amazing result. And they found that the secret sauce to hitting that peak number was super specific. It happened when they used that top-performing Canberra method and when it was analyzing a precise set of 65 different texture features.
It just goes to show you how important it is to fine-tune these things to get the absolute best results.
So, an 85% accuracy rate is a fantastic start, for sure. But what does this really mean for the future of diagnosing cancer? Let's talk about the bigger picture here. This is so much more than just a cool lab experiment. We're talking about a technology that could totally change how we diagnose leukemia. A future where it's faster, more consistent, and ultimately easier for everyone to access. This could be a true game changer, not just for the pathologists, but for the patients who are depending on them.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The lead author, Abdelwahed Mutwakkil, summed it up perfectly. He said these results really prove that their method works, and most importantly, it boosts the potential for that early diagnosis and targeted treatment that we know saves lives.
This study was focused on leukemia, but the potential for these digital detectives is just huge. As they get even smarter and more sophisticated, you just have to wonder, right? What's the next big microscopic mystery they're going to help us solve? The answer could really change the face of medicine as we know it.